David, thanks. The fight over political boundaries in Wisconsin expected to intensify heading into the upcoming 2030 census, which is why some people are calling for an independent redistricting commission, giving neither political party a clear advantage among voters. The issue next week will be on display in Appleton. Well, the next U.S. Census is now less than 4 years away. A number of Wisconsin groups, including the Fair Maps Coalition and League of Women Voters, are preparing for the count and its impact on state legislative and congressional maps. This includes Penny Bernard Shaber, who previously served as an Appleton lawmaker.
We're working on a proposal for an independent redistricting commission that would be separate from the legislature. It would be a position held by citizens, and there'd be built-in stopgap measures that prevented the legislature from doing any kind of gerrymandering and building in a partisan advantage for either party.
Previously, Governor Tony Evers signed into law new state legislative maps that voters saw in 2024, impacting the entire Assembly and half the Senate because state senators have 4-year terms. The other half of the Senate under the new maps will be up for election this November. However, there's also concern over the state's congressional maps, which includes 8 seats, with Republicans holding 6 and Democrats 2. That's in a state considered to be purple.
I think people are frustrated. I think the legislative people are frustrated because they can't seem to get anything done. So they figure if they draw themselves a bigger majority, they'll be able to make things happen. But it doesn't work like that. Government's not meant to go fast. It's not meant to ignore both sides. It's meant for people to work together.
On June 4th, a rally to raise awareness will take place in Appleton. The goal is to educate the public on why an independent redistricting commission is needed and to lobby state lawmakers to support it. Eventually, the group intends to seek a constitutional amendment so it has a permanent place in Wisconsin law. The rally in Appleton next week is one of several taking place across the state. It's scheduled for 5:30 at Houdini Plaza.